We have come at the Kenya Bankers Association to have a chat with the CEO, Raimond Molenje, to just understand a few things. One, they're pushing a policy, especially on the payee side. What are they pushing? Also, the banking sector has done super well, but is it being felt as well in the micro levels? Welcome to the Trading Bell. Raimond, it's good to see you.
Thank you, and welcome to KBA.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been a year plus, but it's good that we're here.
Yes.
I tend to feel like the question on whether the banking sector is doing well or not is not very relevant because we see the numbers, and I speak to a lot of your members as well.
Exactly.
And we see them really, marking good profits, good numbers, and everything else. But I just want to ask you an overall question.
Yeah.
When you look around, the banking sector doing very well. There's a bit of sentiments down there because the banking sector as well is regarded here as macro. When we come down here to the customers that you have, most of them don't look happy as much. I would like you to paint a picture. What's happening there? Why are we not seeing this congruence?
Okay.
Yeah.
Maina, I'll begin by saying that our core business is lending.
Yeah.
So when I look at that landscape of how we're doing, as far as lending to Kenyans and their businesses is concerned, it speaks to what you're saying on the fact that the economy is constrained and majorly there is less or diminished purchasing power within the economy. So in lending, we look at how the growth of our loans to majorly individuals and businesses is growing. So that metrics we haven't done well because if the economy is doing well, we ought to be growing in double digits.
Absolutely.
As far as loans to the private sector is concerned. However, when you look back the 12 months that we walked in 2025, we began in the negative, in that we were at negative 2.9% in January. Then we moved at a snail's pace until June. We got to positive 2.2%. Then we picked up gradually and we closed the year. So the official figures from Central Bank in November were that we were at 6.3% on growth of private sector lending from banks. So that paints a picture that we didn't get to the double digits. So I agree on the fact that when our loans are not flowing, money is not flowing within the economy, there is a challenge.
Right.
However, there's another matrix again that we look at on the fact that when we look at the performance of the loans themselves, we realize that it's a persistent wound that we have at the moment. And that wound is not healing faster because the non-performing loans as at November 2025 were at 16.5%. So what this indicates is the fact that if I loan 100 shillings, upfront, as a bank, I'm a bit certain that 16.5 shillings may not come back. So that's what this ratio of the non-performing loans indicate. And that shows the constraints within the economy.
All right.
So we, again, last year, were working with Central Bank to be able to look at the revised risk-based framework that will actually come in to be able to see how we can change this trajectory. And that's where we are. So the economy is looking very good on the macros, but at the micro level we have constraints. And that brings us to the current debate that we are in on what policy shifts need to happen. And we are very strong on proposing that we really need to be able to reduce the pay-as-you-earn rates.
Lovely, which was actually
Across
the next question.
Yes.
I love that, and actually wanted to shed some more color on that because I think as late as just the other day, we had also the cabinet secretary mention into that. Shed some light. What are you pushing at?
Okay. Now, when we're speaking about the reduction of the pay-as-you-earn rates across board, and what we're asking for is we need to reduce the pay-as-you-earn rates at a rate of 5% across all the pay-as-you-earn rate brackets. So what we're looking at, and we're agreeing with the Cabinet Secretary, John Buddy, what he indicated that they're looking at every worker earning below 30,000 to be able to be pay-as-you-earn rate free. We are in agreement. Now, what we are proposing is that across the tax, those pay-as-you-earn rates, we reduce it by 5% so that we have the maximum pay-as-you-earn rate in Kenya at 30%.
Okay.
And this speaks to also the tax policy that we passed in 2023, where the government and Kenyans have committed to be able to ensure that the pay-as-you-earn rate should not be more than the corporation tax, because the maximum corporation tax is at 30%. So we need to have the maximum pay-as-you-earn rate at 30 or below. Now, why reduction in pay-as-you-earn rate? As we've indicated, there is constrained purchasing power within the economy.
You're right.
So what we're looking at is to be able to restore this purchasing power. And from the government statistics, the Kenya Bureau of Statistics, this purchasing power has eroded by close to 12% for the last 5 years from the COVID regime. So we need to restore that for economy to grow. And when the economy is growing, that's when we'll be able to accommodate all the young ones who are coming from our TVET institutions, our universities into employment. So we really need to be able to ensure that we are very intentional of creating employment opportunities and in the productive economy. So the productive economy, we mean manufacturing and agriculture. And then again, still on the why, we know we are 18 months to the general elections and living within the reality, and as you said, getting to the common Molenje, within this economy, there's always a slowdown in economic activities and economic growth towards the general elections. That is something we want for the first time in Kenya to be able to reverse, because the only time we had an economy thriving up to the election day was in 2007. So we want to reverse that and be able to ensure that this time, up to the election date, the economy is flourishing. And pay-as-you-earn reduction becomes a stimulus. And then again, as our banking sector, we look at both the micros and macros. So we are keen to be able to ensure that the government is increasing its revenue so that we can also be able to balance on debt repayment and ensure that we can have a conversation with government on how to reduce the tax rates, even the VAT, the corporation tax. So this is our one-stroke policy shift that will be able to achieve that. So we are happy with the proposal by the CS and the concurrence that there is weak purchasing power. So what we are now being able to urge the cabinet secretary, the president, the government, is to be able to look at this holistic, so that it's not partial, it's not piecemeal, but we really need to be able to ensure that everybody across board, we empower them to be able to consume more. When there's more consumption, we get high demand within the economy will be vibrant, and government will be able to get the revenue.
Certainly very welcome news to the majority of the band that earns across those kind of bandwidths. But I wanted to ask you, just as a quick follow-up on that, definitely there was data or something that influenced your sector to push this particular policy change. And one of the key questions that I've always seen is that when you look at the numbers of also vis-a-vis the population of the country, the number of people who pay the pay, we still have an issue there. I don't know whether this may not be your purview, but I'm sure you have some thoughts on it. What can we do to enlarge this? Because we're talking about 3 million or so, you know, vis-a-vis a 55 million population. These are the people who are doing all the work. Do you have some thoughts on that as an industry?
Looking at that as an industry, we feel that pain. And also speaking on the data that's coming from our loan performance, it points out to that fact that in Kenya, close to 95% of the businesses are actually small and micro businesses.
You're right.
And government has had a challenge in a long time to be able to collect taxes within that particular segment. But there's good news in that with the e-teams, currently now you can get anyone supplying to you whatever basic items, they can be able to generate their tax receipts from their phone. It doesn't even have, even a feature phone can actually be able to enable that. So progressively, we are achieving that. So what we need to do is to be able to ensure that we encourage this growth within the small businesses.
Yeah.
And then we formalize, because that's also part of what we do here at Kenya Bankers Association, in that we are big in financial literacy to ensure that small businesses are formalizing, and then they can be able to grow. And then we have series where we're looking at how to get Kenyans to be able to ensure that their businesses are long-term, and then also generational wealth creation. So we are focused on that, and we're on the right trajectory. And even to mention, because we have seen government working on this Nyota program for the youth. So a very well laid out program. However, these small businesses that the young ones are going to be able to get involved in, they need to have customers who are buying the services and the goods that they are going to be able to generate. And that's the reason as to why we bring in the aspect of restoring the purchasing power, so that as the youth get to start their businesses, they get to realize that yes, there's value in starting a business, and that business can be able to scale.
Let me now segue to the benchmark battle, because we have seen back and forth here and there, some circulars pop up from the central bank and the likes. And I wanted to ask you, I have seen you push back on pegging lending rates on central bank rate. We've had even Kesonia come up and the likes. And I just wanted you to paint a picture. First of all, what's going on that policy side of things? And have we had a settlement yet on these matters?
We are at a great stage now, because we've settled that matter on the benchmark. Because just giving background, why we were in that conversation between the industry and central bank was the fact that previously, each and every bank had their own benchmark. So how loans were priced, the transparency wasn't there. Each and every bank had their own way of coming up with the formula for developing loans. So limited transparency, and then the monetary policy was not able to be transmitted effectively to the lending rates. So working with the central bank, very consultative, and industry was highly involved last year. We were able to agree on either the use of CBR rate as the benchmark, or Kesonia, what you're calling Kenya shilling overnight interbank average. So on the two, either Kesonia or CBR, what they mean is, for the first time in Kenya, we have been able to agree on the wholesale price for our loans. Because, you know, when I give you a loan, it's for us, I'm selling you something, and the interest rate is the price. So the price, the wholesale price has been agreed, either CBR or Kesonia. Then at an individual bank level, each and every bank will be able now to add their markup to arrive at the retail price. That's the actual lending rate. So what this means is, when central bank makes the decision on the monetary policy, like we are waiting next week, what will happen with the fact that this decision, when the CBR either moves up or down, it will be transmitted immediately to the actual lending rate. That was not happening.
The word is immediately.
Yes, immediately. Then number two was the fact that the transparency is very clear, because each and every customer now in Kenya knows that first we start with the CBR or the Kesonia, and then now actually the bank is duty bound to be able to explain now this retail price, the premium K. How do you arrive at that? And then lastly, still on that, is the fact that each and every customer now has the chance to be able to improve on their credit risk score. So if you have a very strong credit score, you'll actually be able to benefit by having lower lending rates. If your credit risk score is weaker, you will actually be able to have a conversation as to how you can be able to repay it and be able to benefit. And then also what this brought, because part of the condition we're having in the central bank was to allow banks to be able to compete and be able to price their loans accordingly, so that no customer is left behind, so that you are lower risk, you have a price. You are high risk, banks will also be able to have a price for you.
All right. I must as well, because this is news to the people who are borrowers, definitely, and they would want full clarity on it. So what you're saying on the pricing transition, you're telling us that for borrowers, what should they expect about their loans and pricing once they have the credit pricing framework rolling out?
Okay. Yeah. Now, what happened was the transition was in 2 phases. Yeah. So for new loans, they transitioned from 1st of December 2025. Yeah. But for all our facilities that were existing as at 30th November 2025, those ones are transitioning on 1st of March. So 1st of March now, they're transitioning either to Kesonia or CBR and the new premium rate. So what that will transition to is the fact that now you'll be able to see stronger transmission in that look out for the central bank CBR, right? When it moves, expect movement within your actual lending rate. There'll be more transparency. So customers are again invited to be able to have conversations with their banks as to be able to understand what can they be able to do to be able to ensure that they can improve on their current credit scores and benefit from fair lending rates.
Okay. Yeah. When I mentioned some circles that I'm coming to speak to the CEO of the Kenya Bankers Association, there was some reality check about the cost of credit. And there was a question that they generally wanted you to answer. One of it being that despite all these reforms that we're seeing, which are commendable in the push that is coming from the banking sector under your purview as well, many Kenyans still feel they still remain expensive. The loans still remain a bit expensive in terms of the higher end. Should borrowers realistically expect cheaper credit in the near term?
Very difficult question.
I know.
Very difficult question based on the environment that we've been able to paint on the fact that the non-performing loans are still elevated at 16.5%. So what that indicates is that it becomes very difficult for the banking sector to really drop down on the lending rates. So non-performing loans, it's a very big factor as to the actual lending rates for new customers. That's one. Number two is, again, it's dependent on government appetite for borrowing. Because as long as the interest rates on T-bills and bonds are still high, that becomes a challenge. Because for us to arrive at a lending rate, we have to mobilize deposits from customers.
You're right.
Customers now have the option of either putting their deposits within the bank or investing directly in T-bills and bonds directly with the central bank. They don't have to go through an intermediary. So what customers are doing is they're coming to banks and saying, I've seen the T-bills are at 7.3, 0.4, 0.5, 8%. So can you give me that rate? Or I have my options. So there's that competition. So banks are now forced to be able to take the deposits at a higher interest rates, and then now that translates to a higher markup to be able to get to the actual lending rates. Government coming in with more options on how to borrow so that it can be able to bring down the rates on T-bills and bonds. And then now when we unlock this purchasing power within Kenya so that Kenyans are able to, those who are borrowed can be able to repay their loans we'll see progressive reduction.
In your policy push, you have warned that tighter pricing controls could restrict lending, especially to SMEs. And I wanted you to ask, is Kenya at risk of another credit squeeze? Or what do you feel about it? Because I know, as you have said, looking at across your sector, we can see a quick and renewed, if I may call it, a push towards helping SMEs. So what are you observing with that?
Now, last year, we gave ourselves a public commitment to be able to support the MSMEs by lending to them at 150 billion in terms of loans to the micro and small businesses. And this commitment was given from the previous data where we had lent to small and micro at 75 billion Kenya shillings. So we are doubling up that figure of 75 to 150. So working with the ecosystems, with all the players in the ecosystem, so Kenya National Chamber of Commerce, CAM, KEPSA, and the Ministry of Cooperatives and MSMEs, we were able to move and surpass that target of 150 billion, because at the end of the year, we were at 265 billion that we had lent to small and micro businesses. So progressively, we are going out to actually be able to create a market for banks. So we'll still sustain that collectively at an industry level, and then also at a bank level, and also appreciate government for having put up a distinct ministry for cooperatives and MSMEs that's working on unlocking the policy landscapes and then coordinating actually players, because what the ministry has done is it has brought together all the players within the ecosystem to be able to ensure what can we be able to do to move the needle as far as supporting the small businesses are concerned. And as I said, they are 95% of the businesses. That's why KRA now is focusing on how can we be able to help this ecosystem and be able to contribute. And then now, as banks, we are looking at how can we be able to ensure that this market is sustainable.
Excellent.
And it scales.
Lovely. As we come to a close, Raimond, one of the key things is to also look at the outlook. I'm sure this is part and parcel of how you see the entire sector performing. 2026 is here. What's your outlook like, especially in this particular sector? And really, you could touch on a little bit on whether you're going to be more risk averse or how is it going to flow so that at least we can have a good view.
Now, two angles to that. So one is, we are keen to be able to ensure that as we move, which for now we are 18 months to the general elections, we get to reverse the cycle of reduced business activities. So as a banking industry, we want to be very active within the lending market to be able to ensure that we are supporting individuals and businesses to be able to be productive and ensure that the trajectory that we are looking at, the macros also get to be filtered in the micros, and we have a vibrant economy. That's why the stimulus for the pay as you earn comes in handy, and that's one policy shift that as an industry we are looking at and having conversations with all the government and even parliament to be able to ensure that we get to achieve that. The number two is we've put in the new risk-based pricing framework. So we have to ensure that it's working and it gets to work for Kenyans, in that what we are looking for was to be able to unlock credit to Kenyans, in that we provide transparency, and when the monetary policy is transmitted effectively, what that will happen is that the actual lending rates speaks to the market reality within the country, and that will get us to a good stage. And we need to get to the double digits of lending to individuals, Kenyans, and businesses, and everybody will be happy.
Absolutely. All right, the final question for me, Raimond, to you would be, just a bit hypothetical. And I am thinking of you seated at the policy table and you have all the powers at you. So if you could secure one policy shift in the next finance bill just to accelerate this credit growth, what would it be for you?
This country currently, the pain point that is there is majorly the drop in the purchasing power within individuals and even companies. So the one policy shift is to be able to restore the purchasing power within the ecosystem. So it's a conversation I've also even had with the cabinet, because I had the privilege of actually making a presentation for the cabinet in October, and I raised this aspect of the reduction in pay as you earn, and this is the one policy shift that has immediate impact, and it's spread across, because this economy, when you look at small businesses, when you look at the agro businesses, they are powered by the salaried Kenyans. So we give more disposable income to Kenyans. We'll see small businesses doing very well, our agro business doing very well, and all our young people who are coming in through the Nyota program will have demand in the market, and they'll be happy doing business in Kenya.
Raimond, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
There you have it. Quite optimistic about the outlook for 2026. Good tidings. if the implementations of all the policies KBA has pushed are actually actualized. And we look forward to you, the business persons, the people who require this credit as well, accessing them, and the entire banking sector really supporting the economies and the SMEs, especially the 95% of the businesses. Thank you so much for your time. I leave you now with the markets.